Alright, well, making a video again, I know. I'm trying to do one every Tuesday, Thursday, so twice a week trying, but we'll see how well that turns out. So what is it? What are we talking about? We're talking about how to change. I think in my last video I talked about how, you know, it's important to grow and all this stuff about how life is about growing and learning new things and changing. But the question really is, how to change. What I mean specifically is how do you change in relationship to other people? Because I think this is something I find myself dealing with a lot. Is I act one way with everyone in my life, right? Create relationships, acting this one way. And now I feel like, to some extent, I feel like what Camus and Sartre call living in bad faith, right? That I've lived in a way which is not reflective of who I truly am, and I am hoping and trying to remedy that as best I can, but it's difficult because I've put up this person, right, this person who does certain things, who acts certain ways in different situations, and yet that's not who I truly am. And so how can I then be who I truly am while not losing all my friends, not just one day switching to a new person, right? Because that's not what it is, It's not really what I want to do. I don't want to be like, act some weird way and push these people away, or be rude to them suddenly, or do all this stuff, right? So, the first thing is that these changes are not that big, right? I know we think in our life that when I'm growing and changing, it's like I don't I'll put it this way. When you change who you are, it feels like it has to be a big thing, right? It feels like it has to be like the movies, where I don't know, I've lived my life one way, and now I'm oh, I don't want to live in the castle no more. Now I'm gonna live with the poor people or something. That's not. It doesn't matter. But life isn't like that. In truth, like I'm telling you what life's like. But in truth, these things that we think, let's tell you what I know, right? The things that we think are large changes are actually not. They're not as big as we think. Um, Other people actually don't think about us in this way as much, right? So, or even notice us changing that much. So what you can do is you can change a lot, and people don't even notice, right? And the way you do this, or the way you, what I mean by not notice, is that they don't even react, right? They're happy with your change. They're good with it, and it's not like you're a new person. It's not like you swore off dairy, and you're talking about how much I swore off dairy. You're just a new person, and they treat you a little differently. And this works psychologically by sort of conditioning. It's not, human beings are not like dogs, right? We don't learn everything through ringing a bell and getting a reward. It's not how it works. We have a lot of preset parts of our mind, but we do, however, develop understandings, or like heuristics and schema that are our conceptions of other people, right? So it's pretty simple, right? When I think of Sam, what do I think of, right? Okay, I think of this game that we play together sometimes. I think of, pancakes. I know he likes pancakes, right? So obviously that's a very, like, I'm actually speaking that out loud, but implicitly there are a lot of emotions and a lot of ideas that come with people, right? With seeing them, and a lot of memories. So how do we change then? Okay, in relation to other people, simply acting the way you want to be is the right way to change. And certainly in relation to other people, right? It seems like, I don't know, maybe you thought this video would telling you that there's like a secret Like there's some psychology way that it's like, oh yeah, now everybody's gonna love me all the time and I'll be myself. It's not how it works. Really though, the point of this video is to say, if you change as you grow, as you learn, it's okay. And it works great, right? Because you learn something new about yourself and you realize, oh, I don't really like this anymore. Like, recently I'm like, I don't really like playing video games as much as I used to, right? And so you stop playing video games. That's cool, right? But some of my friends play video games. Oh, well then you're like, you just don't get on as much. They'll notice you don't get on as much. They'll associate you less with video games, right? And then that's it. There's no discussion. You don't have to, right? I hate this idea that like, I think it comes with our the new world that's sort of been created, is that like everything has to be a big conversation. Everything has to be therapy and going in and talking about this stuff and being like, oh, I don't know, it's such a big thing, and having like sit down conversations with other people. Like I don't like the way you're treating me this way. I don't like that you think, well, I play video games. I don't play video games. You know, I understand that that's reductive, and to some extent, you know, you need to have conversation with people about things that you feel are wrong. But I think often we don't need to have as many of these like stressful conversations, right? What I want to reduce is not the good outcomes you see in life. I want to make sure you're living your best life. I think that's the best, the most important thing, right? But when it starts creating stress, which I think it does in our world, where it feels like I have to confront people all the time about the way they act and about the way I'm changing and the way I am acting, right? You don't have to confront people. It doesn't have to be a big thing. You just change naturally, and as you change naturally, other people's perception of you will change. And that's just how it is. Change is something I talk about. I don't know, it was Christmas yesterday, obviously. And I was thinking about it, about this idea of change, and how it's not as if, because the Christmas I went to, it was very different than it had been for what I felt like was every other year before. And yet what I realized in that moment was that change is not something that happens overnight. It only feels like it does. It only feels like that when you put it in contrast with something with yourself from years ago, right? You only see that you've changed when you look at a photo of yourself from years ago. In reality, though, you've been changing every day, right? Every year, my Christmases have changed, right? All my family gatherings have changed. The interactions we've had with each other have changed. So human beings, we're good at change. We're good. We're cool with it, right? We do it very naturally. And so there's no need, in a lot of cases, to go out of your way to push people or to get emotional about other people respecting or seeing you a different way. You can't, the truth is also, you cannot force people to see you a different way. You simply act a different way and they will see you that way. It doesn't need to be a thing that is negative for them or negative for you. It should not be stressful. Change is good, and change happens all the time, and we're cool with understanding that, right? So, okay, change is good, it's happening all the time. Well, when we look at how to change then, right, obviously then, in relation to other people, you just do it. And I think this is, well, I'll tackle this small caveat, I guess, that, okay, you're right. We're in this situation where I'm changing. I'm living who I really am, and I'm changing because I feel like I don't really like this anymore. I'm changing this way, and then whatever, right? Natural things. But what if, like I find myself in this situation, it's like I've been acting like such a different person, and now I feel like I'm a very, very different person from even a year ago. It feels like the change has been massive. And the way I interact with other people, like people I see tomorrow, I'll see some people who I only see, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a year, right? How do I change my relationship with them? Well, it's important to understand, first of all, even with people, my friends who I talk to, every couple days. With them, it's easier, right? Because you're sort of going through this big change with them, hopefully. Certainly with your family, it still finds, I think there's still certain points of contention, right? But with people who are you only see once in a while, right? All you have to do is remember they only see you once in a while. They don't know who you are at all, right? I think this was something I find myself thinking about a lot, is that people know me. People think like they have such a strong understanding. People don't think about you, really. Like, and that's cool and that's good. That's natural. You don't think about other people, do you? Right? You think about how they think about you. You don't think about how they are doing, or like what they think about their own life as often. You don't think about that much, and that's good. That's natural. That's what it doesn't help us to think about how they think about life, unless that can help us in some way. Where it's okay to be, it's good to think only about yourself most of the time. That's cool, because that's what else. Unless you have like kids, then you should think about your kids too. But sorry, that was wild. The point is, with these people who only see you once in a while, there's not much to change. All you do is it can be a drastic change, drastic. I don't know. I don't know the right enunciation of that word. Drastic change, right? And that's okay, but they're not going to be, you know. The only problem comes in when you're not just a kind person. When you think that a change in you should continue to be a change for the better, always, right? That should always be the case. Now, who's to say what's for the better? You don't really know. So any change, as long as you think it's for the better, then it's probably good, right? But as you're growing, as long as you're still kind to other people, trying to be kind to other people, trying to care about them in some way, right? Not being an asshole, you're cool. Nobody cares. Or not that nobody cares. People care. People care a lot. But those who do care aren't going to care about what you're doing, as long as it is who you are. And that's really the point, is that if you're not living who you are, and your relationship with other people is based on you doing what they like, it's time for that relationship to change, right? Either you live as you want to, and they accept that, or they don't. And that's okay. It's hard, but it's okay, right? Nothing should be in the way of you growing to be better. Because in truth, that's the point of your life, is to be better every day. That's it. I mean, right, to have kids, certainly, to survive, to help, the world and all this, but you help the world, you help other people by being better, right? You can't just positively affect other people without being a better person. It's not how it works. You don't get to just like put all your better points into other people and the world or something like that, and not into yourself. Helping yourself is as long as it's a change that makes you more kind, more happy, more thinking person. It's a better change. And in truth, there's nothing, if we think logically. If you think logically, if you believe truly that how you are changing is good, there is nothing that should stop you. As long as you believe the change is good, there is nothing that should stop you. Like often, it's the people we care about which would stop us. Right, I love my mom very much. And if I thought, and I did think, certainly, and I still sort of do, that me changing would negatively impact her, it's hard. It's very difficult, right? In that moment where you're like, I think it matters to her that I'm doing this one thing, and if I don't do that, I mean, is it gonna impact her negatively? But those people who you care that much about, and who hopefully care that much about you, will understand. And if it is the case that they don't, you need to think logically and rationally about what this relationship is, about why you have it, why you need it, and why is it important to you? What about it is important to you? And I'll end with this one thing, one thought. You know, Camus and Sartre and all these people, they talk about being your true self, right? Not living in bad faith, as they say. But in reality, I like that. You like that start. That was pretty funny. In reality, I like when people say that. It makes you know they're going to say something really, really profound after that. In reality, yeah, it's funny. No, but right, in truth, we must act, quote unquote, in bad faith sometimes. A lot of the times at work, I act in bad faith, right? Because I'm not acting as my true self. I need to do something. I need to get work done. I need to be nice to people who maybe I don't like. I need to say yes to things that I don't want to do, because that's my job. But as long as I understand that who I'm acting as at my job is not who I truly am, we're chill. It's cool. You want to be the best person you can as long at work too, right? You want to be a good person. But we play roles all the time in life, But the problem is roles are draining. It takes effort to be the person you are at work. And so you don't want to be that person all the time. And that's where the trouble comes in. Is when you feel like you're spending all this time as other people and not spending any time as yourself. When the way that we improve and the way we grow is by being ourselves. If all the time you act like this waiter who is nice to everybody, how are you learning lessons? How are you learning to grow if you have if this is just who you are? You're growing as the waiter. You're learning how to be a better waiter, not a better you. Right? So if you want to learn lessons, you want to be a better person, you have to be you. Because you have to learn the lessons, not this other person who is you at work. Right? Now, sometimes they can overlap a little bit, and that's good if they do. Maybe it's good if your work overlaps with who you really are, at least a bit, because then you can learn some things. But you have to be who you really are to learn and to grow. And that's why it's so important. But of course it's okay, and it's natural, and it's good, and you must be acting as other people sometimes. Sometimes I feel like there's this emphasis on not being quote-unquote fake, which it's just funny because Sartre, I think, would take umbrage with this term of fake or being authentic. I think he would hate that term, hate that idea, because in being quote-unquote authentic, you're being inauthentic, right? You don't have to be like this TikTok girl who's like, oh, I'm who I really am, and making a point about it. Part of who you are, one of the aspects of who you are, isn't being authentic. No, that doesn't make sense. It's not a character trait to be authentic. It just is having character traits, right? It's just expressing the character traits you have. It doesn't make sense to me that, like, one of the things you talk about to other people is how authentic you are. Like, what are you talking about? Just be who you are, then. Why do we have to talk about? Why? I'm sorry, but it doesn't make sense to obsess over it or think about it that much. You should spend that time thinking about what you want to do, who you want to be, not about how important it is to be authentic. Stupid. Stupid. Just do, grow, and change in ways that are good. And that's all you had to do. People naturally adjust to it. Alright. Hope this helps.